Hello, hello, it's Rex. It is the 6th of June, and the girls and I are here on the moat enjoying a beautiful, beautiful day. It truly, truly is awesome. It's a gorgeous, gently breezy, cooler day, and it's just truly a delight. Let's see if I can turn this around here. There's Bailey. Let's see if we can find Sasha. Sasha's down there. And it's truly, truly wonderful. I just came out of the house because I'm going to go to the PARK with the girls in a little bit, and I brought the PARK bag, which carries water and their leashes and all that good stuff. And Bailey saw it and jumped up and went, "Okay, time to go to the car." And Sasha jumped up, and I said, "No, girls, you're going to have to sit for a minute." So we're sitting here in the breezy, sunny, shady place that we're at. And I just want to say that, it's good to be alive. And people go, "Well, how can you say that when there's so much trouble going on in the world?" Well, the reason I can say that is because it is good to be alive regardless of the trouble going on in the world. And the trouble that's going on in the world is really, truly an opportunity to make corrections and change things, and to address issues that have been for so long problems, either invisible or hidden, or in the darkness that we, might have known were there but didn't really address, or they were swept under the carpet or covered up. Now, in this day and age, is an opportunity for us to shine a light on it, expose it. And sometimes it's exposed in extremely sad and disappointing days, but because it's exposed, we can then do something about it. If you don't know a problem exists, for example, if you don't know that there's a leak in the back bedroom, for example, then all that damage will take place because you're not aware of it. But if you somehow, like there's a storm that comes up and you decide, well, I better go check on the different rooms, and you see that there's dripping going down the wall, well, that's not a great thing. You're not happy about it. At least you know now that you need to fix it before it gets out of hand, or put a bucket down so that you don't, ruin your carpet. So it is what it is. It's things are going on, and we can't change what's going on. In the same way that, if an earthquake happens, or a cyclone, or a typhoon, or a hurricane, or a forest fire or something, we can't necessarily change these things, but what we can do is choose how we respond to them so that we don't react out of fear or anger or anxiety or worry or incompetence or a lack of confidence, but that we respond to them in ways that are resourceful and say, you know what, here's a situation that needs addressing, and by golly, we're going to address it. We're going to change it. We're going to make the adjustments. It doesn't matter what the forces are that oppose us. We're going to move forward in a positive way, and we're going to make these changes, and we're going to make the world a better place. I'm going to make my life a better place for me, for my family, for my friends, for my local community. Hi, James. Great to see you. I'm going to make these changes not only for myself, but for those people around me. And in going first and doing that, you have the opportunity to help others to also make those changes. And as I always say, you can light a million candles off of one candle. If you change first, if you are proactive and positive and decide that you want to be a positive influence for those around you, you have the opportunity to attract like-minded people. You have the opportunity to influence others who may or may not be predisposed in the same way, but by your example, they might come to know a different way of thinking, feeling, and being. Anything and everything is possible if you believe anything and everything is possible, whether it's likely or not. If it's plausible, then there's a chance that you can do it. And if you're willing to, you can. The Wright brothers decided that, hey, you know what? I think we can get a mechanical machine off the ground and into the air. And they kept doing what they needed to do until they made that happen. And all the while they were doing it, they were experimenting. They didn't have a clue how to fly until they actually flew. And once they flew, they went, oh my gosh, we flew. And this is how we did it. During the time that they were doing it, they were attempting to fly, they were experimenting, they were finding out what didn't work, what they had to adjust, and what they had to correct. And that's where we are today. You know, we may not solve all the world's problems in a moment, but we can adjust and continue on the pathway. And if the journey is delightful and positive and productive, and we do it confidently and competently, we can get to the destination of our choosing. Because we believe we can, and because we believe we can, and we believe it's possible, then we can actually take steps to making sure that that does happen. You know, people crossed the United States, and there was a Grand Canyon, but somehow they managed to get to the other side. Whether they went down or around or whatever, you know, people have scaled Everest. People have lived in the most horrible of conditions and survived, and actually have sometimes transformed and thrived. People have tunneled out of prison with a spoon because they were committed to doing something. Now, I'm not saying it's a good thing to get out of prison unless, of course, you're there inappropriately. But the point being is that if you put your mind to it, and you have a positive vision and a mission and a purpose, and you're committed to it, and you believe in it passionately with every fiber of your being, and you're certain that you can do it, meaning you don't know that you're going to succeed, but you're certain that you're going to attempt it, and you keep doing whatever you're doing, and you're taking feedback and adjusting along the way, you can make things happen. And you can probably go further than you ever thought you could, and surprise yourself in the process by finding out that what you aimed at was actually just a small step away, even though it seemed large at first. And you've actually gone beyond that small step to larger steps. You've actually multiplied the positivity and the goodness that you know, you thought, well, if I could get 1 times the amount of pleasure, and then you got 10. You know, you can do anything. See, this is the thing that people so often sell themselves short, or they so often say, I can't do it because of that person or those people or that government or that mountain or that river or whatever the circumstances are. They say, well, it's not possible because of these. And those are reasons. But at one time, it wasn't possible to get to the moon. When Werner Braun was asked how, by President Kennedy, how are we going to get to the moon? What will get us there? He said, the will to do it. And that's truly where it starts, with the decision to make a difference in yourself, in your own life, and for and in the lives of others. If you don't decide to do that, then you always get what you always got. You end up living by default. You live by accepting what circumstances you're in. If the person accepted the circumstances and didn't use the spoon to get out of prison, they would have remained in prison. Granted, they could get caught, they could get reapprehended, or they could get free and live an incredible life, you know, but you don't know until you try. You don't know what the outcome is going to be until you actually make an effort to do something. And in order to make the effort, you have to decide it. In order to decide it, you have to believe that you could possibly do it. In order to believe you could possibly do it, you have to be aware of what the possibility is by imagining it in the first place. You have to have the idea. Hi, Brad. How are you? More power to you. You have to have the idea in the first place, in the same way that when the personal computer came about, somebody had to imagine that that was possible, or the television set, or the radio, or the light bulb, or flying, or a chair, or a spoon, or a hut. You know, somebody had to say, you know, I'm not so cool living out here. I'm going to go inside this cave. They lived in a cave. And then someone got the idea, you know, I can kind of make a cave out of things that I can enter into. I can put some tree branches together and cover it with mud, and somehow, you know, it hardens, and now I have this kind of igloo in the desert, or this igloo in the snow. You know, I have this area now that I live in. But they had to imagine being able to do that. You know, somebody had to sit on a rock and think, you know, if I cut that tree down right there, I have a stump to sit on. And from there, a chair was born at some point, you know, who knows. But the point is that you imagine what's possible, and then you commit to making that possible happen. Like the Wright brothers did with fly. I love the Wright brothers because their own dad said, you know, you're an idiot to do this. you have lost your mind. This is crazy. You know, if man were meant to fly, he'd have wings, kind of thing. And they were smart enough, as I always say, to take off from the ground and try and get into the air, as opposed to running and leaping off a cliff, which is what too many people do. So they had a wisdom. And the interesting thing is, even at some point, one of the brothers asked the other brother, said, are we going to be able to do this, And I don't remember whether it was Orville or Wilbur, but the one said, I see it happening. I'm flying. I know that this is working. I know that we're going to do this. And because he and they had a positive vision, and they didn't give up, and they knew that in spite of whatever the circumstances or odds were, they were going to keep going if it killed them. And in doing so, pyramids were built not in one generation either, but somebody made a commitment to take centuries to build things, and they kept going. So we can make world changes, but it starts really inside our own hearts. If you transform yourself into the kind of person who is positive and good and loving and peaceful, and you live from that and you spread that, I'm not saying you're not going to get hurt, but you're more likely to spread goodness and love and peace and joy because you're not angry. You're more apt to get hurt if you're angry and hostile and fearful and, running around scared and with an axe to grind. Spread peace, spread joy, spread happiness. I'm not saying to live in a vacuum. There are issues around us that need addressing and can be addressed and can be changed. And what we're seeing right now is people who said, I'm mad as hell, I'm not going to take it anymore, and they're turning and going, this is no longer acceptable. It's been swept under the rug. We are doing the wrong things for far too long, and we need to change, and we're going to do it. And at the same time, as Einstein said, great spirits must do contention with mediocre minds. You got people who are interfering with the process. They're coming in and damaging things. They're looting. There's secret organizations and people who are doing all sorts of horrible stuff. The good people are getting disparaged by others and everything. Guess what? That's part of life. It's the same way as if you were living out in the wilderness and an earthquake happened or a big lightning storm happened or a forest fire. You have to deal with what life hurls at you. So while these things are going on, instead of blaming them, find ways to heal them. Find ways to love. Gandhi immobilized the British Empire without firing a shot or lifting a sword or punching anyone in the face. So, that saying, be the change you want to see in the world, well, be the change. Open your heart to what is possible. Open your mind to what's possible. Don't be like the Zen student whose teacup is full and the master's going to go empty your teacup and come back when you're ready. Then we can put more in there, You gotta open up. And it's a flowering, it's an awakening. Sometimes people bolt out of bed, they just wake up in an instant, and other times people gradually come to awake. And they're sleepy and groggy, and they drink their coffee, and they finally go, oh my God, I'm awake. Now my eyes are open and I can see. Some people take longer than others. Some people are right there. Hi, Tony. How me doing, my friend? I hope you're doing well. But the point is that, again, never let someone rain on your parade. Never let someone dictate how you're supposed to be. Again, I quote Viktor Frankl, you can imprison my body, but you can't imprison my mind. I am free to choose how I'm going to go through any experience. And you can react out of old habits, and you will until you change those habits into more productive, wonderful, powerful, pleasant, confident, capable habits. Get it? You get more back of what you put out there. So if you throw out a boomerang, you get the boomerang back. You don't get a teacup. If you smile into the mirror, you get smiles back. You don't get frowns. But if you frown into the mirror, you don't get smiles either. So be aware of what you're putting out there, what you're putting forth, what you're creating. And stop creating and perpetuating the old broken negativity and the system in our government or in the world or in your personal life. Hi, Greg. You stop perpetuating what you've done in the past that limited you or held you back or that you didn't like, and you start doing the things that allow you to feel the way you want to feel and do the things you want to do and become the kind of person you want to be, have the kinds of things that you want to have by doing the kinds of things that you want to do. It is a process of transformation whereby step by step or inch by inch or drop by drop you eventually get there. Sometimes it happens faster than other times, or sometimes it takes a while. If you decide tomorrow you want to get to Mount Everest, you have some challenges ahead of you. Am I saying throw what? I'm happy to answer but I don't know what it says, Tony. So if you want to get to the top of Mount Everest, you have to understand a teacup. So he's saying throw a teacup. I'm saying throw a boomerang, you get a boomerang. That's great, great. Or if you throw a teacup, it's likely the teacup is going to end up over there. But you're responsible for your actions. You're responsible for, and you're accountable for your actions. And everything has a consequence. And everything can have a positive consequence too. If you want to get to Everest, you know you're going to have to condition yourself to do it. I wouldn't be the kind of person to go to Everest tomorrow. Oh, one of my friends climbed Kilimanjaro. I couldn't climb Kilimanjaro in my presence. I'm so thrilled and excited that he did it. And you, some of you who are watching, hi Diana, might know him, Carlos. And an amazing accomplishment, but you have to prepare for that. And you have to do it in spite of whatever hardships there are. Hi, Robin. But you can do it. That's the cool thing. You can do it. So in the midst of where there's problems and challenges and hardship and things we don't like, there's also really incredible good stuff. You know, I'm sitting here with my dogs. It's a beautiful day. Somewhere else something is going on, something over there is going on, there's good things around, there's not so good things somewhere. You know, it's all happening simultaneously, and it's what you experience is where you put your attention. Thanks, Tony. No, that's very cool, and I love you, Tony. That's awesome. And one of these days we're going to be making some more movies together, so thank you. The idea is that, and I've said this for 40 years, the thing that stops most people is a mental packet of energy. It's a thought. They just think, no, can't do it, or no, I won't do it, or no, impossible, or not for me, or I'm not that type of person, or I've always been this way. And what you have to do is you have to give yourself some room to grow, some room to change, to say, you know what, even though I've been that way for 40 years or 50 years, I am in the process of learning how to be different or to entertain new ideas. If tomorrow you decide you want to juggle or play the piano or swim or learn to invest or buy real estate or whatever, there's a learning curve. And if you've never done it, it would be foolish to say, I suck at this, because you've never done it. Of course you're going to suck at it. Hi, Lincoln. How are you? Congratulations on the movie in Utah. That sounds so thrilling. Awesome. I'm so happy for you. That is so very, very cool. So the key is if you've never done it before, give yourself some room to grow into it. You know, there's a learning curve. You know, if when I was a kid, I had swimming lessons. If the first time I went into the pool with the gorgeous swim teacher that I had, that's why I continued the lessons probably. But if I said, you know, I'm not going to do this, and I got out of the pool and I never did it, I would never have learned to have swam at that time. You know, you gotta go. It's possible. Hi, Matthew. You got to decide that it's possible for you. You got to decide it's possible for the world. You got to decide it's possible for your children, or it's possible for others, and not limit them or you or us by our thinking. I think I wrote about it in my book. I'm sure I did, but I'm sure I talk about it elsewhere. In the early 80s, part of a meditation community, and one of the meditations we did, and I always tell people, don't do this. It's not about doing it. And, you know, hi, Jane. Oh, how I so appreciate that. I love you, too. Thank you. That's so kind of you. Hey, by the way, if you're liking this, hi, Bruce. If you're liking this, please share it. If it touches your heart, share it. Give it away. Let it inspire or help or motivate or aspire someone else to become more aware and to change. You know, this very unfortunate thing that happened to George Floyd, the neon neck, you know. I mean, now they're posting memes of the neon neck challenge. Oh, Tony, cool. Thank you so much for buying the book. I hope you enjoy it and use it. That's awesome. I'm happy to hear that. I'm getting marvelous responses. The book is Life on Your Terms, Live the Life You Want, by me, Greg Sikes. So thank you, Tony. That's really, really nice of you. I appreciate that. I'm very proud of the book, and people are reporting, from all around in tweets and in emails. There's not as many reviews on Amazon as I would like. People keep saying, I'm going to leave a review, I'm going to leave a review. I hope they do, because it's truly meaningful to have it there, where people can read the review and decide whether they want to purchase the book. But I'm getting such wonderful comments and feedbacks. I mean, it really is. People are saying they're transforming their lives, and that is why I wrote the book. It's taking stuff that I've been doing for 40 years and putting into the book. Thank you, Jana. Thank you for sharing. That's so cool. You shared the video. That's awesome. So what I'm saying is that I'm not encouraging anyone to do this. I think it was insane and maybe detrimental to health, but this is what we did. For 15 minutes, we would run in place, raising our legs, our knees, as close and high to our chest as possible. And we would run at top speed. That was the goal. For 15 minutes, run at top speed, really pumping your legs. And then at the end of 15 minutes, you would freeze. You would just stop. And all that energy that you had awakened in this process is now coursing through your body. Your heart is beating, your respiration is different, everything is just, Then you would sit down for 15 minutes and just kind of observe. The whole point was to observe the energy, observe what your thoughts did, notice what was going on, and then to lie down and go off into outer space, because you'd sat there now for a half an hour watching, and now you could just let it go. But the point is, I don't encourage people to run at top speed and then stop. I mean, people, if you're not in shape, it's not good, it's not healthy. There are people who are in their 40s who decide they're going to jog, and it's not necessarily the healthy practice for them. You have to work up to some things. But I was in my 20s, and this was something I did, and each of us had partners that we worked with, and so I would run, and they would coach, and what they had to do as a coach was, whenever I would get tired or weak or start to wimp out or start to slow down, they would yell, run harder, as a reminder of what we were there for. Because after about 20 seconds of running as fast as I could, I'd go, oh my God, I can't do this. I thought I was going to die. My heart was going to burst. My head was going to explode. I was going to run out of air. My legs were heavy. My arms were heavy. There was every part of me ached. Hi, John. John, hello, my friend. Awesome. Good to see you. Tony and John are here from Shooting Star. Awesome. So after 20 seconds, 30 seconds, I'm about ready to quit. I'm thinking, God, I'm going to die. And this person's going, run harder, run harder. So you scream, you're, and you run harder. It's a burst of energy, it's pumping that adrenaline. It's using what you're doing. And after another 10 or 20 seconds, I'm about to drop, and I'm run harder, scream, run harder. And you do that for 15 minutes. And, there were times when I couldn't make the 15 minutes, I just collapsed, but eventually I got to where I could do the 15 minutes. And what I realized, and what is important about this, and what I think the whole purpose of doing it that way was to notice that what stops us is that the body was capable of doing it. I could go for 15 minutes. I didn't think I could. After 20, 30 seconds, I was ready to quit. My body could still have the energy. Didn't think it did. It didn't feel like I would have it. But that thought is what stopped me. Excuse me. So what I found out was possible was that the very first thing that goes when you're trying anything are your thoughts that go, you can't do this, you'll never be able to do it, you're going to die, don't try that, it's stupid, better to stay safe than sorry. And you get all the reasons and all the excuses and all the blames and all the whines and all the complaints and all the historical, you've never done anything like this before, you'll never be able to do it now, you don't know what you're doing, don't be an idiot, stop, danger, Will Robinson. And the brain goes off, the mind goes off, along ways that it's always done whenever we're about to make a positive change or any change, because it's designed to keep us the same. And so if you're about to break through a glass ceiling and make more money or start a new business, all the doubts and all the red herrings and all the fears and all the anxieties and everything comes up that says, hey, you're probably going to screw up, or it's not going to work, or you're going to go broke, or most people get bankrupt after 5 years. Everything. That's what the brain does. It throws this stuff up. And it based on the conditioning that we grew up with from 0 to 7 in our life experiences and what we've been exposed to. So the Wright brothers anywhere along the line could have said, screw it, I'm done, I can't do this. Dad is right, let's just give it a rest. Cut our losses and go forward. And guess who would not have had success flying? Now, I'm not saying that there aren't times to cut your losses or figure out how to do something differently. You know, if you're always doing the same thing and you're always getting the same result, you need to learn how to do something different. You know, if you're banging your head against the wall and the wall isn't opening up for you, maybe you need to stop banging your head and figure out a different way to get through the wall. Maybe you have to go around it or above it, you know, or something else. Look around the room for something that can help you chip away the wall. If you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. And if you're expecting something to be different, then you're crazy, right? Because you're getting back what you've always gotten back. Why would it ever be any different? And yet this is what we do. We go, I'll just try it again. I'll do this. I'll do that. I'll do this. I'll do that. And we do it along the choices that we think we have available of all the choices we've always done. And we don't get very far. So what you have to do is stop and do new things. So the world right now is in a place where it needs to stop and do new things. You know? Take it easy, man. Take care of your eyes. I appreciate you, Tony. I love you. And read it when you can. Absolutely. No, rest your eyes. And someday soon it'll be on audio, so then you don't have to rest your eyes. But I can't tell you when that will be. The point is that the world right now is going, we can't keep doing what we were doing. If you're in a dark room, the thing that you don't do is run at the wall. You know, you don't just run in a dark room because you're going to hit the wall, you're going to slam into the wall. So you kind of have to feel your way around and find out where a window or a door or an opening is. Okay? And same thing right now. You know, the alarms are going off, the alerts are going off, the dashboard light is saying, hey, your engine's about to explode, take it in for service. The world is sending all sorts of messages. Our country is sending all sorts of messages. The people are sending all sorts of messages that, you know what, racism sucks. The transfer of wealth to the wealthy from the people who don't have money and the transfer of the burden back down to the people who don't have money is inexcusable. Our medical system, our medical, what we would call healthcare, is devoid of healthcare, and it's ripe with predatory insurance practices. I mean, there's just so many things right now that have come to a head all simultaneously. We had a virus, you know, and people are complaining that they have to watch television at home because, you know, there are people, you know, in other parts of the world who are living, you know, in dirt and squalor without enough food, and their skin and bones, and they have truly tyrannical governments. You know, they're keeping them impoverished and in horrid conditions. They're being abused in violent ways, and we're upset because we can't get a haircut. And then we see people, white people, getting killed by police, black people getting killed by police at a much more frequent. You know, people say, well, hey, there's 1,000 whites that got killed and 1,000 blacks that get killed, but you have to remember something. Blacks are only 13% of our population. So 1,000 of them is a much more significant number than all of the whites that get killed. Still, it's not acceptable either way. There are good cops, there are truly good cops, and there are horrible cops. There are good people, and then there are all truly horrible people who challenge us. So right now we're waking up to this and realizing, you know, we can't keep going the way we were going. We can't have violence. It isn't about dominating the streets. I mean, that's... Heiko. I mean, who wants to dominate? I get it. They dominate your market, dominate your business, crush the opponent, crush the other team. We have these metaphors, especially in the USA and around the world. You know, that we win at all costs and they die at all costs, or they lose at all costs. Well, we can't live that way. Nature doesn't work that way. You know, it's saying it's not the survival of the fittest, it's the survival of the most adaptable, the one that's most resilient. And species come and go, and we could come and go too, you know. And so the key is to figure out how we can work in harmony and how we can work productively and positively. You know, we are capable if we decide we are. We are competent if we decide we are, and we do those things correctly, repeatedly for long enough to develop those skills and abilities. We can make any change we want. You can make any change. That's what my book is all about. That's what my programs are all about. For 40 years, I've been teaching this to people all around the world. They fly in to be with me, or I flew in to be with them. You can make any change you want if you put your mind to it, your heart is in the right place, and you follow your mind and your heart to a successful conclusion. And if at any point you stop before you get to the conclusion, then you stopped. If it wasn't worth it to get to the conclusion and you changed your mind, okay, you changed your mind. But if it is worth it to get to the conclusion, then you keep going until you get there. And I don't disagree with you. We have people who are working very hard to dismantle this country and to destroy this country, Tony. I agree. I agree. I think the president is doing great harm. And thank God that we caught him at it. And he should be held accountable, you know, and a lot has been swept under the rug. But, you know, so many of the problems that he has exasperated and or additionally created were problems that were existing for quite some time, for many decades. Eisenhower warned us about this stuff. Kennedy warned us about this stuff. The founding fathers warned us about the rise of tyranny and the oligarchy and about corporations and the you know, taking the rich, you know, psychic. Prescient. Orwell warned us. You know, I mean, we've had plenty of warnings, and now we shouldn't be surprised that we may have gotten the president we deserve in order to wake up. We somehow we got him. Hi, Lisa. Somehow we got him. I mean, there have been, I don't really truly want to make this political, but elections have been stolen. And we want to make sure that they're not stolen in the future, you know, and whenever there's a grab of power, people are often reluctant to give up that power. So, you know, the new way has to be a new way. It has to come from people who are dedicated to making the world better for everyone, not just a handful. You know, I'm going to say something that, you know, maybe there's somebody who disagrees with me, but when you have the kind of obscene wealth of a Jeff Bezos, and most of that wealth isn't going to improve the world, I'm like, what the heck is it for? Hi, Lisa. But that's just me. I'm not saying that I have the right thing. I'm just like, I think that when you have plenty of money, then that's the time. I mean, you know, you become a philanthropist. You give it away. You put it in places that improve. Jane, I haven't done a TED Talk, and I appreciate that it's helping you. I have never really wanted to. I was going to do one. I did a blog the other day about why we hate. You can find it at the Gratitude Activator, about why we hate, my experiences. And I'll share part of it here that was going to be a TED Talk. Now, I talked about this meditation experience and things. And it's truly this. And maybe I should do a TED Talk. In the 80s, I joined a meditation experience. I became a sannyasin. I wore the colors of the sunrise, meaning the colors of orange and red, like Buddhist monks, you know, sannyasins that you see wear. I didn't wear robes. I wore red jeans or red shirts or whatever. But I became a sannyasin of then Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh. And nobody ever asked me for my money. Nobody ever asked me to give everything to the guru or any of that kind of stuff. I signed on because I fell in love with the man's message, and I said, this is truly important. It's about being awake and alert and living authentically. And so I took what's known as sannyas. I became you could call it a disciple, but I became a sannyasin, which means I took a new name. I became a swami. I wore beads that were to remind us, a mala, to remind us to meditate, the 108 forms of different meditation that's available. And the other condition was to meditate an hour a day at least. And hi, Kimberly. Kimberly, hi. And so I did that. So here's the thing. At that time, wearing red clothes for me was like one of the biggest deals. You know, I just couldn't imagine. I was a blue jean guy. I could wear a brown shirt and blue jeans. I could wear a green shirt and blue jeans. I could even wear a red or yellow shirt with blue jeans, but I couldn't be all in red. So for me, this was a huge step to dress this way, and I just always considered myself wearing a clown suit. I have this silly, you know, Indian, you know, name. I have beads. I'm in red, you know, and we're living in Oregon, which at that time was, you know, very pro pot, but not very pro anything that wasn't homespun, homegrown religion. and we were considered outliers, outlanders, and invaders, and people would tell me, go back to your country, and I'm like, I'm at the country. Anyway, my point being, I've been chased, I've been at gunpoint, I've been refused service at gas stations and restaurants, I've been chased, I've been walking through malls like this, and people would scream and yell and point. I've had people in the airport go shoot him, kill him. I've had all sorts of stuff like that. And here's the awareness that I had, is that I wore this stuff for a good 4 or 5, 6 years by choice. Every morning I got up and I put on my clown suit, I put on my, my beads, and I went out to face the world. And there were those people who looked at me as a freak, as a monster, as whatever it was, a cult member. And then there were those who went, hey, this guy must be cool. He's he's crazy. Why is he wearing all this red and purple and orange and stuff? So what it was, the purpose of it was a device. It was for me to see where my buttons got pushed. If somebody said, hey, asshole, did it bother me? That people didn't like me because I was wearing these clothes or because I had these beads. Did I get angry? Did I react and go, oh, screw you, who do you, I'm morally superior because I'm a meditator and you know nothing. I mean, it's amazing what comes up. And that you get to watch and get to either get hooked by or you let go and you release. So what I became very aware of, truly aware of, and this is what I write in my blog, is that I could take it off anytime I wanted to. I never did, but I could go into the bathroom, for example, at a gas station, take off my red clothes, change into blue jeans if I had them in a backpack, and walk out, and nobody would hate me anymore. They wouldn't know I was the same guy that wore red clothing. They wouldn't know that I was the same person who moments ago they were hating. Unless, of course, they recognized me. But you get the point, right? And what that led me to was there are brown people and black people and red people and yellow people, people of different nationalities, of different religions who can't change their skin color. They're hated because of the pigment in their skin, and they can't escape it. They could move somewhere, but they're going to find hatred wherever they go. I moved places and I still found hatred, wherever I traveled, or people that didn't accept me. And then there were those who did, in spite of how odd I might have appeared or how odd or weird I looked. So I became very sensitive to, I'm kind of doing this charade, right? I could change. I could in an instant go back to being the white guy, not the go back to your country guy. Other people can't do that. Other people cannot do that. I was hated because what I was wearing, clothing, the colors, and beads, because of what it stood for to certain people, that it meant I wasn't part of their movement. I was part of another movement that they disagreed with. I was hated and reviled and chased and at gunpoint because I wore clothes. Can you imagine what it's like to grow up with a skin color in which that is your everyday experience? It's frightening to think. It's scary to imagine that there's so much hate based on stupid things that people just, nationality, you might all be white people, and then there's a border like Canada and the United States. It's not all white people, but you get the point. There are people of color. There's people, religion, the outward trappings. I was wearing certain things, and it violently, it offended the people who say forgive and love and turn the other cheek the most. I do hope we work together again, Tony. I do. And we will. Here, there, or somewhere else, but we will. I'm sure of it. If not, we'll make it happen. By their fruits you shall know them. I have known people who are wearing the trappings of the most benevolent, wonderful, kind, generous, passionate, compassionate, ideology, who are horrible and assholes and jerks and hateful, and but they claim allegiance. We have good people and bad people of all kinds and everything. People say, well, you belong to a cult and they were all mindless zombies. Yeah, true, there probably were some. Or their crimes. Well, you know what? Every city has a crime. Everybody has, You can't keep blaming people for being people. The looters are bad. Yeah, of course they are. Okay? But so is white collar crime and pillaging the people and taking their money away and jacking up the prices and causing them to be overinsured so that they can't afford it and keeping them working 9 to 5 or 9 to 9, you know, with 3 or 4 different jobs every week just in order so they can buy a sandwich and put some bread on the table. There's lots of injustice in a lot of different ways. I'm not for the looting. I'm not for violence. If you know me, you know that, you know. So the key is to figure out how we work together in harmony, how we do. Forgiveness, again, is, you know, Jesus said, Jesus said, forgive them, they know not what they're doing, and that's the way we have to look at it. Forgive the leaders, they don't know what they're doing. Even if they do know what they're doing, you have to assume in a more benevolent way, they don't know what they're doing. They're unaware of the damage and the hate and the hurt and the harm that they're causing. You know, so forgive them, and not that you let them off the hook. They have to be accountable and responsible. In the same way that the cops who kill or abuse or bully or anybody, it doesn't have to be a cop. There are lots of great cops. You have cult of actors and writers. You picked an amazing cult to belong to, Tony. You know, there's good everywhere, and there's not so good, and it's a matter of focus. And if you want the not so good to become good, you have to be an example for it. In the same way that you want to bring your children up right, you have to be an example for them. If you're living and exuding hate and intolerance, that's what your kids are going to model. Well, there is a choice that they might look at that and go, I'm never going to be like my dad or my mom. I'm going to do the opposite, and they do. That's what's called the human experience, that we have choice, and that's what's so cool. We can go against our conditioning in many ways and say, that's it, I'm mad as hell, I'm not going to take this anymore. Okay? Or we end up recapitulating and doing the exact thing that our parents did. We go, oh, I am my mom, I am my dad, I am my grandpa, you know, I am part of the same mindset, you know, until you're not. The solution to the world, in my opinion, is to be more loving, to be more kind, to be compassionate, to forgive, and not let people off the hook for their violence or their acts against the government or their acts against each other or their criminal acts, but to forgive, to let yourself be free of it, to not harbor. I can't imagine what it's like for the family of Mr. Floyd to have watched their brother, their son, their father murdered on television. To watch him beg for his life and to have no one do anything for him to save his life, to intervene. Not one of the cops, you know. But I know this, that somehow they have to heal at some point too. Or they don't, but you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying to give it a rest. I'm not telling them to do anything they do or don't do is up to them. Thank you, Tony. But you can't focus on what's wrong and expect to do what's right. You have to focus. You have to use what's wrong to know what to do that's right, and then do the right and focus on the right. You have to shift away from what isn't working, what's causing the problems, and then toward what it is you want to create instead. I use the analogy in other live videos and in books and programs, but you know, it's not enough just to tear down the house that you no longer want. That's a starting place, but you have to decide on the kind of home you want to replace it with. And then you have to build that home. And while you're building that home, there's no point in focusing on the old one that's gone. You focus on the new one that you want. And if you run into a snag, you make an adjustment. You know, you innovate and you adjust, and then you continue until you build the new home. Same thing is true with your personal life, your business life, your professional life, your careers. Same thing is true with your relationships, your finances, and your health. If you keep doing what you always did, you'll always get what you always got. If we keep doing what we've done with racism and intolerance and wealth inequality and in this country, we will get more of it. If we don't make changes now, it will have been illuminating, but it also could be the start of waking up. You know, we may not have great accomplishment. We may not get where we think we will right now. I hope that we do. And I would argue to work for that and to continue that and to not let go of it until we get the kind of world we want to live in. I'm just saying we may not have utopia the way people think of utopia, but we can make it better, and we can make it better for all. Not just here in this country, but in other countries and around the world. I mean, the movement that's going on right now, the people who are protesting around the world because of what happened to Mr. Floyd, God, it's breathtaking. I don't think there's ever been a movement or anything other than maybe Gandhi opposing the British Empire that has been so, and then it wasn't worldwide. Nobody even knew about it because of we didn't have the airwaves, but you know, but boy, you know, it's the people are waking up and saying we just need more love. There was a silly meme. Who was it? I don't remember what it was. He said something, or Tucker Carlson or something said, yeah, you know, John Lennon, you know, if he went out in the street, he would be, and it might not be Tucker, so I don't want to intrude him. Hi, Jana. Oh, you bet, Jana. You're probably right, Tony. And I got to get the girls to the dog park anyway, so, but the point is yes, and if you want to find out more, read my book. Thank you, because there's a lot of good stuff in the book. But the point is we will get through this. All things pass. Night becomes day, day becomes night, hot becomes cold, summer becomes winter, winter becomes summer. You know, we will get through this, and as we get through it, let's learn from what was wrong and learn from our mistakes, and let's correct them. No, you make good sense, Tony, and I know you make good sense. So anyway, everybody, I love you. Please do share the video, and I really thank you, Jenna, for sharing it, and for anyone else who's shared it, and for commenting, whether you're listening to this live or if this is a recording, you know, or you want to do a watch party or whatever. I don't know how these things all work, but if you found this message touching your heart and you think it might touch somebody else's heart, go ahead and share it. You know, let's live together in peace and love and harmony. Let's do what we do to enjoy our lives and keep safe and keep others safe. You know, and realize that, you know, I have it pretty darn good. So can I help other people have it better? You bet I can. And the question that I ask is, will you help me and join me in that? You light 1,000,000 candles off with just one candle if your candle is lit. We can create a positive virus of love and peace and acceptance. You know, we don't have to live the way we're living. We can live far better, and we'll live far longer if we're happier and healthier and wealthier, all of us. You know, I will close with this. The greedy people, and I've been one of them, you know, get a cherry pie, an apple pie, a pecan pie, their favorite pie, whatever it is for you, strawberry, rhubarb, you know, whatever. Want the whole pie. Another person goes, hey, look, I got this pie, and I got enough slices for 8 people. Here, take what you want. You know, someone will say, well, you know, if I give up my piece or I give up my pie, I won't have any more pie. And I just say, don't think about what you're giving up. Think about creating more pies. Make more pies. Feed the world with pies, in other words. You know, instead of saying, if I give you a slice, I won't have that slice. Just go, you know what we need? We need another pie. Let's live from our abundance, not just our abundance of pie, but of wealth and of love, of goodwill, of positivity, of kindness, of gentleness, of prosperity for all. Let's make a difference. And you know what? You've made a difference if you're listening right now. You took time to listen to some old white-haired guy talking. So I hope, and namaste, the divine in me, you know, worships and respects the divine in you, because we all are. And take care, have a fabulous day, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, and let's pay it forward, all right? So with that, I love you all. I'm going to take my dogs to the dog park. I wish I could broadcast there, but there's no signal, so it gets really fuzzy and weird. So I've done this here now, and enjoy your day.